Okay, we're just about done, and we are up to number 16 that specifies no present tense for actions that both began and ended in the past. Basically, keeping the past in the past and the present in the present. And in fact, if you take a look at the sentences that you see here, everything that's mentioned in this particular sentence occurred sometime during the 13th century, the 1300s or the 14th century, and it is appropriate to use the past tense for it. In fact, if someone studied with someone back in the 14th century, that person is dead, that person is no longer doing anything, it would be very strange to express that in the present tense. And in fact, a good example of that is found in paragraph 4 in section 4 here, where we have a marriage taking place in the 1370s, and here we see the present tense used for it. Exceedingly distracting. It makes no sense whatsoever to use the present tense there. I know you get all these examples of it on the news and in documentaries and so on. Some people actually encourage that particular abuse. I, in fact, discourage it. It sounds really weird, and it makes people seem more bizarre than they actually are. And in fact, sometimes it's absolutely wrong. This sentence here, the phrase goes to Mantua, indicates a habitual action. And in fact, when I take a look at this phrase and I see this goes to Mantua, I imagine that this person, who presumably lived back in the 14th century, is still going to Mantua every day, every week, or every month, or something like that. It really doesn't make any sense to use the present tense for this one action that occurred one time in the past. So simply use went instead. Use the simple past there. There is nothing wrong with keeping the past in the past. Please do not mix up time. The insane and those who are feeble of mind very often cannot tell the past from the present, and you know this from people who suffer a degeneration of mental function in old age. They sometimes imagine that the past is occurring in the present. And you know what you think when you hear such people. You certainly feel pity for them, but you know there's something wrong with their mind. That is why I caution you to make a clear distinction between the past and the present. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Now, the next thing is not to use semicolons, and the reason for this is very, very simple. Semicolons are normally used to draw two sentences together. Do not try to drag two sentences together in this very, very brief writing exercise. Do not use semicolons. If you are using a semicolon, it means that you are trying to probably means that you are trying to connect two sentences, so please do not do that. Okay, simply keep your sentences separate from each other and write the specified number of them. And finally, if you need to use a title in your text, whether it's the title of a short musical composition or a long musical composition, a short literary work or a long literary work, make sure that you use quotation marks for it, whether it is a long work or a short work. You do not have the possibility here of using italics, so I am providing you with this alternative, which will save you a lot of time. Isn't it a whole lot easier simply to put in a quotation mark like this here than it is to go up to look in the options, first of all highlighting it, looking in the options and changing it and so on? This is so much easier besides. So just do it and accept that particular little compromise. Now, if you take a look through the text now, you'll see it's all very clean, isn't it? Very clean. I've gotten rid of most of the zeros. Well, not all of them, because I need to make sure that I have 1, 2, 3 paragraphs on my first subtopic. Here I have 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs, but this one is not on the first subtopic. So make sure that your writing, or that your text here, includes 3 paragraphs on your first subtopic, and then that the remainder of your text deals with your second subtopic. Here's your second subtopic here in this paragraph, and in paragraph 5 you have your second subtopic again. And make sure that your last paragraph is the first one that ends on the second page. So what we have here is paragraph 5 is our first paragraph to end on the second page. It is our last paragraph, and basically what you've done here in doing so is you have reached the specified amount of text. It really is that simple. I know that it's taken me a little bit over half an hour to go through this with you in detail like this, but when you do it on your own, it should take you only about 10 or 15 minutes to do. And if you do it, you will thank yourself for it again and again, because not only will you be saving yourself points, but you will be saving yourself time and effort by checking your work. And besides, it's a wonderful thing to get into the habit of checking your own work before you submit it. And speaking of checking your work, the best time to check your own writing is a day or 2 after you have completed it. After you have written something, put it aside for a day or 2 and then go back to it. When you do so, I promise you, you will see errors that you did not see the first time around. I notice this all the time with my own writing in my emails and whatever. I notice it the second day, and I encourage you to use that strategy to your advantage when you are writing. Again, make sure that you check your work carefully.